Hey guys, Scott here. I just want to take a minute on behalf of me and Pat to thank you all for the monthly support you guys have shown us, and the daily support for that matter. We're getting a lot of positive feedback on the end of the bench show, and we greatly appreciate it. Just a heads up, we have decided to donate up to 50% of your monthly contributions to No Kid Hungry, which is a charity that is pretty self-explanatory, helps provide meals to kids in need. I know growing up, I never had to worry about where my next meal is coming from, and I can't imagine the fear that some of these kids live in, especially now with coronavirus. I think it just really shows how far COVID really reaches in a negative way. And we're very excited to donate whatever we can to No Kid Hungry for the month of April. If there's any charity that you would like us to contribute to, with the monthly support we receive from our listeners and viewers, we'd be more than happy to look at it. So please feel free to DM us on any social media, comment on the YouTube video, get in touch with us any way you want. And we'll be happy to try to contribute any way we can to the charities that our listeners really value. I think it's a really good cause that we're doing, and we're very proud of our viewership for taking the initiative with us. The support link is in all the video description, the podcast description. You could donate, 99 cents a month or $9.99 a month or even $4.99 a month. It's a small contribution, but it goes a long way, especially this month with No Kid Hungry. It takes a very little amount of money to give a kid a meal, a bottle of water, anything that we may take for granted. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring in Pat, and we're going to start episode 3 of The End of the Bench Show. Thanks, guys. And we're joined here by Pat now. Pat, how's it going?
Doing good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. As the listeners and viewers may not know, this is actually take 2 because we lost connection.
Technical difficulties.
It's not the worst thing. It's bound to happen eventually. We only talked for about, 3 minutes. So, at least it's better than 30.
Yeah, that would be best case scenario is it occur right at the beginning. So.
Yeah. So, today, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL draft, mainly just like the Jets picks, because me and Pat are both Jet fans. Monday, we're going to have Kevin McBride back on. Pat, I don't know about you, but I got tons of positive feedback from people on Kevin. They loved the way he broke everything down. They loved his voice through the mic. They said he should be a professional, and I completely agree.
I agree.
So we're excited to have him back on Monday. That episode will drop Tuesday morning. It'll be more of a full breakdown of the draft. Pretty typical stuff, winners, losers, surprises, stuff like that. So we're excited for that. But we will cover a little Jets today. We're going to mainly talk about baseball, specifically the Red Sox punishment or lack thereof, and everyone's favorite baseball personality, Alex Rodriguez, is back in the news again, linked to everyone's favorite joke, the New York Mets. Sorry, Pat.
So I'm down.
yeah. Pat and I have had some pretty long weeks at work and long Fridays yesterday. So we're definitely looking forward to this. A little therapy, a little fun. And we do have another fun topic that we're going to save to the end for you guys. I think you guys will really like it. But without any further ado, Pat, why don't we jump into the Red Sox lack of punishment for their cheating scandal is a fair word to say. I want to start, obviously being the Yankee fan here, the Red Sox kicked our ass in 2018 in the DS. The Red Sox are a second time offender. So they had the Apple Watch scandal. That was 2017, right? The Apple Watch?
I feel like all the years since 2017 are blending together with all these different scandals that are happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was 17. It may have been
Yeah,
17. It may have been 18. I forget, to be honest with
I
you.
think it was 2017. All the years the Yankees don't win a World Series, it just kind of blends together as a failure. But so with them being a second-time offender, I thought the punishment was a little light. I think it's important to note that decoding sequences is something that has been in baseball forever. It is not
Of
new.
course.
It is not something that only the Red Sox do.
No.
It is something that they took to another level, and then from there, it is something the Astros took to a gigantic level. So it's definitely the Astros. What they did was definitely worse. The Red Sox definitely not as bad, but it's still cheating the game. Alex Cora lost his job because of the connection to the Astros part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
to be fair, he resigned, but his job was,
yeah, resigned, fired. They also say
resigned.
mutually decided to part ways.
Yeah.
No, mutually decided to lose their job.
Yeah.
But regardless, it begs the question: will Alex Cora be back quite soon with the Red Sox, especially if we don't play this year? I tend to lean towards yes, but I just think it sucks for the guy, the scoreboard operator that lost his job, because to think that he was the one spearheading it and doing it all on his own, not receiving orders to do it, I think is just blatantly foolish.
Well, he's the scapegoat, it seems. And, I mean, almost every major scandal like this, in a sense, has that one guy who's going to have all the blame put on him. I agree. The punishment is definitely a little light. It's not as the way I put it is what happened wasn't as severe as what the Astros did, but it was their second offense, which is why everyone was so outraged that they get a loss of a pick. This replay operator who probably nobody knew gets fired or suspended, whatever it was specifically. And Alex Cora ends up getting suspended for the year, but he had already resigned from his position. So it really is, in a sense, a slap on the wrist to the Red Sox and kind of a slap in the face to the rest of baseball. You try to go out there, you try to set the example with the punishment that was given to the Astros, and then now you got a two-time offender in the Red Sox. And again, the severity of it may not be there in terms of the comparisons between the two, but it's still against the rules. And you basically, the biggest thing is the loss of the draft pick, which in a way you could say is going to be significant depending on how this year goes and everything. But still, it's a very light punishment. Rob Manfred is arguably at this point the worst commissioner in all of sports, and that's we're taking. I said this the other night where I was watching the draft, and Goodell was even like, all right, let's hear those boos, let's hear those virtual boos. So I'm like, I respect that he's doing that, but he at one point not that long ago was considered the worst commissioner in all of the four major sports. I think Rob Manfred is now taking that title away from him.
Yeah, I think worst and best is kind of strong, but I think he's definitely the least liked.
Well, there is no best commissioner in any of the four major sports right now.
Adam Silver is the best.
I would say Silver is probably the best in terms of that, but Gary Bettman, terrible. Roger Goodell, horrific. Manfred is just an absolute clown. So it's really tough to compete with those three. So you'd have to give Silver right now the best commissioner award, and that's taking it lightly.
It's kind of like your list of favorite teams that we talked about last week. The Mets are all the way up here, and then 2 through 4 are kind of the same but lower than the Mets. That's how the commissioners go right now. I think it's interesting. Whether it's the Patriots scandals or the Red Sox scandal, it always seems like some underling scapegoat and not a big thing. The whole ball deflation with the Patriots is the most recent one, and the ball boy got in trouble, but obviously he's not doing it on his own. but they always just find like these little scapegoats. I think it's interesting, especially given the Massachusetts, Boston area that both of these teams are in. I think it's kind of interesting, kind of convenient.
I'm not going to comment on that really, but I really don't know in terms of it. But there does seem to be the scapegoat aspect. But now the punishment's been handed down, criticism is there. I mean,
yeah.
To be honest, I had completely forgotten that the Red Sox were under investigation. It feels like this investigation took forever, and I'm not even counting the fact that the season didn't start, because something tells me if the season had started on time, they still wouldn't have had a decision made. This seemed like something they truly wanted to drag out, and the current pandemic definitely was like, all right, cool, so we have more time to think about it, or more time to really say we're not really punishing them or whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think obviously handling all the curveballs that the pandemic is throwing is much more important than handing out a punishment. But I think that they were always going to do it at this time. I think they were going to try to bury it with the NFL draft buildup as best they can, because they know football is still king in America. And if
in a sense, you could say they even tried to bury the first punishment that the Sox got. I mean, if you didn't really look up on it or really know the situation, would you have known that they even had the iWatch issue? Because I had forgotten about it, because I feel like it was like a very quick, it happened, now it's over, we've moved on. So it seemed almost they kind of buried that, and then now the second time around, they had to pay a little bit more attention to it. But again, with the pandemic, it almost seemed like a way to push it back and take care of other things, which of course was important, but it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed like they kind of just wanted to get past this and not really care about what the punishment was. I don't know if that's just my opinion or if other people feel the same way, but it just seems like it was something that was very quick and just, now it's over, now we can move on to the next stage.
Yeah, I think that basically sums it up pretty well. I think they were more concerned with letting people move on, so they were just going to announce a punishment. They were more concerned, I think, with people forgetting about everything than reminding everyone how big of a deal all of this was with a hefty punishment.
But again, it comes down to Manfred saying that, if you are caught doing these things, you're going to face very severe consequences. And it's, it seemed like he did that with the Astros, but he didn't really do that with the Red Sox. And that's why people are just so livid at what happened.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't really happy with the Astros punishment either. But I think I agree with you that, he did a better job with them. The biggest thing with the Astros is that he just can't go after the players, or he refuses to go after the players. I think now all of the, replay guys for the teams and all the scoreboard guys for the major league teams, they're probably a little scared, thinking
they could be, if you're going to be them,
they could be next. I don't know. I'm fine with the punishment. I mean, it's not as big of a deal as the Astros one. I think as a Yankee fan, the Astros one is much bigger to me, because when the Red Sox beat us in the ALDS, when they were supposedly cheating and whatever, they kicked our ass. It was plain and simple. They scored almost 20 runs that one game in Yankee Stadium, and they beat us at Yankee Stadium. The Astros gets to me more because they didn't beat us in New York that year that we went to 7 games. So that's why that one kills me more. I mean, the Red Sox, I hate them anyway. I don't care. They could do whatever they want. I'll still hate them. But yeah, I mean, I think overall for baseball, it's good that, the punishments have been handed out, whether they're fair, not fair. They would never be fair enough for all the fans involved.
No,
anyway.
no one will ever be happy with any punishment handed down. And now that we talk about it more, I just can't help but laugh at how all these scandals, Astros, Red Sox, whatever it meant then, well, the Astros more specifically, it became a Met issue when it came to the hiring of Beltran and everything that happened. And it's so Mets that they somehow get involved in something they had nothing to do with in the start of it all.
speaking of the Mets, I'm very proud of you. Episode 3, and you nailed a segue. Nailed it. Episode 3, man.
Thank you, sir.
Very impressive. So the next topic that we wanted to really talk about is Alex Rodriguez has made it known that he wants to buy the New York Mets, him and J-Lo.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to secure financing. I think he's working with Chase, and I think he hired
he has
some
the
financial
contract.
people.
Yeah, he has the contract or the partnership now with J.P. Morgan to try and secure more funding in order to place a bid. And I know a lot of Met fans are very open and communicative when it comes to this situation. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot of positive, and it's basically just anybody but Wilpon, get Wilpon.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. A lot of positive, a lot of it can't be any worse than the Wilpons, which
and it can't.
Which I think is true, but I think it's also kind of like a funny way to look at things. Like, oh, it can't get any worse, so let's just have this guy on the team and whatever.
All I know is Jeff Wilpon shot his and his family's foot. He shot themselves in the foot because a few months ago, Steve Cohen, who is rumored to be looking to bid on them again, but we'll get into that. A few months ago, Steve Cohen was set and ready to purchase this team for $2.6 billion.
Yeah.
The only thing that he wanted was complete control of the team and its finances. Jeff Wilpon, being the smug little arrogant, daddy's boy that he is, said, no, I actually am a baseball mind. I want to stay on and be a part of the baseball operations team.
Right.
So in essential, that basically Steve Cohen was trying to buy a house, but Fred Wilpon, the current resident of that house, said, I get to stay in the master bedroom and continue to purchase stuff for the house for the next 5 years. That's just that's just a comparison the way I put it. Of course, Cohen said no, backed out, $2.6 billion, and now the current estimated value that the Mets could go for is about $1 billion less.
Yeah, but I mean,
so if I'm
really
Wilpon's family, I could see it though. I mean, the Wilpons are clearly losing money, and they even Jeff Wilpon even said this because not that long ago, he said, I think he was talking to Governor Cuomo or something. He's just like, if we're gonna have a shortened season, then I think players' salaries should be prorated based on the number of games that they're playing, which is a fair assessment, but it's just coming from Jeff Wilpon, where the known man who didn't want to pay people to begin with is now saying, I want to pay them less. I just think it's so funny that everything's just coming out. But at the end of the day, Mets fans, we need the Wilpon family out. It's simple as that. And I don't care if it's A-Rod and J-Lo or Steve Cohen or anybody else at this point, but someone needs to take ownership away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I have this quote about Wilpon up. I want to read it to you. It's a very angry fan at the time that Steve Cohen backed out. And
so basically 90% of the Mets fan base. Okay.
Right. So the quote says, "Get the silver spoon out of your ass and stop acting like the entitled brat who thinks he can run everything because his daddy bought the team. Mets fans are sick and tired of you holding the franchise back. Take the money and go." Now, Pat, do you remember writing that?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
Because it's true. Jeff Wilpon, 4 years, and you could go back and even talk to not talk to, but look up ex-players who have said, Mets players who have said this about them. He constantly thought that because he played a little ball in college or whatever, that he was a coach, a manager, a GM, everything but what an owner should be, and an owner should be someone who writes the checks, writes and signs the checks. He thinks he's a baseball man, and he's not. Your job as an owner is to purchase and hire those who do know the sport, are able to work with what you give them, and run and do what they got to do. He seems to want to have his hand in absolutely everything that's going on in the baseball operations side, and that is what's holding back the franchise. Because no decision can be made unless he gives the okay, and if it's not his idea, he's not giving the okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to ownership, like owning anything, I think it's natural for the owner to want to have a say. But I do agree that like
say is one thing, but what he's trying to do is, oh, that's a great suggestion, but here's what I say we're gonna do.
Yeah, but I think it also just comes down to him hiring people that are yes people.
Oh, he did it. Absolutely, he did it with Brodie Van Wagenen. And again, I've been saying this. It doesn't matter who the GM is, as long as the Wilpons are still the owner. Jeff Wilpon is your quote unquote GM. I mean, he's the one who's making those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because as a Yankee fan, I always go back to you don't care who the GM is as long as the Wilpons are gone. But me, like, I don't care who the owner is as long as Cashman is still there.
And God bless Brian Cashman. He honestly is one of the best GMs in the sport. I would love to have a guy like him, but even regardless, we could have the best GM of all time, and as long as the Wilpons are still owners, things aren't going to change. And that's why I really would love to see A-Rod step up and see what he can do here, try and gain ownership if he wants to partner up with Steve Cohen and put both their monies in. Just anything to get the Wilpons out of Citi Field.
Yeah. So, like, do you think A-Rod would really be that much hands off? Because I see him as he's definitely, his baseball mind is definitely stronger than the Wilpons. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But do you really think he would be hands off? I mean, I feel like because he knows so much about baseball, he would be just as hands on, if not more.
Well, I guess then I'll go back and say owners should be hands off when they're not baseball minded individuals. A-Rod has been he became a pro at what, 19, maybe 18, whatever it was. He's a baseball lifer. He knows the sport. Put aside all of his, the steroid scandal or whatever it may have been. The guy still knows the game of baseball. He's, fixed his reputation since he retired with the whole the steroid scandals and everything with, him working with ESPN and everything like that. He truly has upped his image. Marrying J-Lo definitely, helped him.
J-Lo never hurts a situation. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely not. But if he's comes in as an owner, he has a baseball mind, so you are a little bit more open to what he may suggest or he may say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I say all owners simply should just be signing the checks, when I mean that, I mean guys who are just billionaires who own the team because they have the money, not guys who decide to buy the team because they are baseball lifers like A-Rod is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's why I wanted to pose that question, because I know that's actually what you meant instead of just saying the owner should just cut the check. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I saw something the other day that said A-Rod always wanted to own a team ever since Jeter bought a team, and I just think it's funny that like
well, I mean, it honestly
as competitors. It never ends as athletes. You always
it doesn't.
Better than,
but it honestly is like a perfect match for him at this time. If that's the case, I didn't see that, but I mean, if that's the case, Jeter's down in Miami. A-Rod, who apparently grew up a Mets fan, had a chance to sign with the Mets before he signed that deal with the Rangers, I think it was. He wanted to play in New York. He had decided to go cross town with the Yanks. And now all of a sudden, the team that he grew up rooting for, that grew up potentially wanted to play for, they're having ownership troubles. I mean, they've had it for X amount of years, but you know what I mean. The opportunity to purchase the team, and that team happens to be in the same division as your buddy Derek Jeter's newly owned team. Like it's like the stars align almost, and it seems like almost like a perfect scenario to occur for A-Rod to want to purchase the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, the rivalry with Jeter, the rivalry with the Yankees. It would be great for the New York sports scene, I think, if A-Rod bought the Mets. I mean, I don't think that he would do a bad job. I think he would hire good people. I do think that, I mean, and this is forecasting like years down the line with absolutely no knowledge that would let me do so, but I do kind of see him as almost being like an owner GM at some point. Especially if things weren't going well, and as he got like more comfortable in his role, because I just think he knows so much about baseball and knows that like he's too big of a name to be a coach. So like, and to be a GM is probably a lot more work than being an owner.
It would be in the same situation, the same title as what Jeff Wilpon is now, but the difference is A-Rod is A-Rod and Jeff Wilpon is an idiot.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's for lack of a better word, idiot. Just leave it at that.
I think that is the best word, honestly, to describe the Wilpons. I mean,
clowns. Actually, I think clowns would be the best word.
Idiots, clown show, whatever. I mean, I was talking with our friends last night. We had the video chat, and they seemed, we have a lot of Met fans in our friend group. Me and John are the only Yankee fans. And they seem very open to A-Rod owning the Mets. So I definitely think it's something that will not go away anytime soon. I don't think it's a publicity stunt. I saw that floated out around there. Because quite frankly, A-Rod and J-Lo don't need publicity stunts. They're freaking Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's real. I know, I mean, he's been on Shark Tank, so he definitely has connections with people. I was listening to the Michael Kay show, and I don't know how true this is, but Michael Kay said he literally has Warren Buffett on speed dial. So, I mean, A-Rod could buy the Mets in like 2 minutes, basically. I mean, he can get that money.
He'll definitely find the partners, I think. He'll definitely find the partners.
Warren Buffett wipes his ass with $1 million bills. Like, I'm sure they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be amazing if he partnered with someone like Buffett, because like, what hasn't that guy done? This own a sports team is probably the only thing he hasn't done.
I have no doubts that he could definitely find a collective team of multi-millionaires, even billionaires, to help him out.
Yeah, he'll find the money, because no matter how bad a team is, or how bad the economy gets, these rich people, they always want to own a sports team. It's the ultimate toy. It's the ultimate symbol. It's gonna the Mets, as long as the Wilpons don't get in the way again, they won't have a problem selling or finding a buyer. And I hope for your sake that it's A-Rod, more so because it's the newest rumor, and I just want it to happen as soon as possible for you, because I think you deserve some good stuff in your baseball life, man.
I just want Wilpon gone. It's just simple as that. Like, that's all. I mean, I really don't have much else to say other than I'm just, me, along with probably the remaining Mets fandom, is just, we're tired of the Wilpons seemingly holding us back. I mean, and 2015, as great as it was, many could say that it hurt them, because now it kind of proved, see, Wilpons, because see what I did? I brought in Cespedes and we did this. So I can put a winning team together. So in a sense, you could say 2015 hurt the Mets in that sense. I think it's time to move on, and I'm not confident that we'll be able to see a winning team until we have someone at the helm who will just let his guys do their thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could. I mean, we're just gonna keep saying the same stuff over and over about how the Wilpons suck anyway. So I think we could go on.
Please.
Or before Pat goes into full state depression, we're gonna move on to the Jets, who, for once, Pat, they're not making us upset. They're doing a hell of a job the first 2 days of the draft.
Absolute great job. I'm loving the pick so far. They did unbelievable. Now, we had said, as Kevin said on what was it, the other day, I forget the exact day specifically, that the Jets were going to go Mekhi Becton with their first overall, with the 11th overall with their first round pick. We all said that. We said that if he's there, you got to take him. Now, I know I was texting you during the draft, and I said, when the Jets pick came up, and I also saw that Tristan Wirfs wasn't on the board. I was like, I wasn't expecting him to be there at 11, so maybe the Jets take Wirfs instead. But they still went Becton. Didn't hate it at all. Still liked it. Wow. I guess in a sense, I read, Wirfs played more the guard position than the tackle. So even Becton
Yeah.
still plays better there. Most athletic, what was it? He's 6'8", 3 something. He ran a 5 flat 40 as a lineman.
He's a truck.
Oh my God. Like pancakes is what we're going to see on that field. And I know Sam Darnold is loving it. Now he's got that protection on that side. So great first round pick there.
Yeah, it was great. I think that when we all predicted that on episode 2, that we expected him to be the only tackle there.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing. That's what we thought. At least that's what I thought. I thought he was going to be the last remaining of the better tackles available. I thought Thomas was going to be gone. I said that he was probably going to go early to the Giants. I saw that, and he did.
Yeah.
I thought Jedrick Wills was going to be gone, and I thought Tristan Wirfs was going to be gone. And then I said the next best available would have been Becton, so if he's there, take him. So I was shocked when I saw Wirfs ended up dropping.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Becton, from everything that we heard in the draft, is kind of raw, ton of potential, tons of upside, mountain of a man. We've already started calling him Mount Becton, which he said on Twitter he loves. So that's good. He's been pretty good on Twitter. I've been a fan. I don't know if you saw his profile, but his name is trending topic.
Yep.
I don't know if he changed that like after he was drafted or if it was always that.
I'm not sure either.
I think I kind of like it more if it was always that, because he shows like a little cockiness.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. Because if it was like post draft, it's just humor and like that's good too. But I'd rather be a cocky asshole on my team, especially as a lineman.
But I think it's a great pick. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Joe Douglas knows what he's doing, at least right now. He did some good shit yesterday in the second and third rounds.
Yeah, the second and third round. So we traded back in the second round. Still got a very good wide receiver in Denzel Mims out of Baylor.
Great move.
I think I think that was who he wanted regardless, and he took a gamble saying,
I mean, the biggest thing with that was, you had it at 48. I think it was 48. He was on the board, you're ready to take him, and then the trade happened. So I saw that, I'm like, oh, shit, what are we getting in return? Who did we trade with? I saw we traded with Seattle and got that additional third-round pick. And he was able to turn that, wait the remaining 11 spots, I think it was, and still picked up Mims, which is who they should have gotten at 48. The fact that he dropped that late, I know it concerned a lot of people. So I think there was one or two other wide receivers taken before Mims. I know Van Jefferson out of Florida went. I forgot where he went specifically. I saw him being taken. I'm like, is there something wrong with Mims that he's dropping so far? But he looks like he's a playmaker. He's going to be that guy on the outside for Darnold, and I'm excited. Joe Douglas did a hell of a job with that one. I know a lot of Jet fans wanted, hopefully, to try and get a guy like CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs, but those guys weren't dropping. I mean, if you wanted them, you got to take them in the first round, but the Jets needed offensive line help a little bit more. And they still got a very good receiver in Mims. So I'm happy with that second round pick.
Yeah, the only way we were going to get like a Lamb or Jeudy or Ruggs, was if we traded Jamal Adams for another first round pick. That was going to be the only way.
I'm perfectly fine with how deep this wide receiver class has been, that you can let those big names go and still be able to get something in the second round, which is what we did.
Yeah, I would have liked to go corner. From what I remember, up until pick 48, it seemed like there was a lot of secondary dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So it leads me to believe that maybe Joe Douglas wanted to go corner second round and then third round try to get a receiver, and then he may have audible to this plan, move back, get Mims, saw more value for him at 59 than 48. That's just my take. I don't know if you agree with it. But I just think it's weird that we haven't. I think it's a little weird we haven't addressed corner. It's not a very deep corner draft, so it worries me.
I think we have – how many picks did we say we have today?
We have six picks today, 120, 125, 129,
I think they'll definitely – well, while we're on the topic of, defensive backs, they ended up taking Aston Davis the safety, the defensive back, I should say, because he's played all over in the backfield there at a Cal. A lot of guys liked him because he's very athletic. He's versatile. Yeah. He's played inside, outside, deep safety. You know, he's played cover corner. He's done a little bit of everything in the backfield at Cal. And a lot of players, a lot of people, a lot of analysts are saying that this was a great pick, very under the radar move. So you kind of hope that he becomes that little Swiss Army knife. Pair him up out there with Jamal Adams potentially at safety.
Yeah, I heard that he projects more as a free safety, which is interesting because this is the last year of Marcus May's deal. And I think I read that Ashton Davis was the fastest safety in the draft, so that's exciting. You know, I like the pick.
Is also he's a kick returner too, so it gives you another option: a kick return, punt return. So
yeah, I like the pick a lot. I mean, when we lost Andre Roberts the other year, he was like the best part of that team, and all he did was return kicks. So I'm excited to get someone.
We had 3 Pro Bowlers that year, and 2 of the 3 left. You know, the Jets didn't even bother trying to resign. So I was pissed a little bit when that happened. I would like to have kept at least what was it, Jason Myers, the kicker at that point. I would have liked to have kept him because we've gone through a lot since then.
It was rough. It was rough. I don't want to get upset.
We have Sam Ficken. But yeah, they needed to make some address. They did address what they needed to. I'm loving the first 3 picks. They addressed 2 needs that they definitely needed. And then you go ahead and get a defensive back who looks like he'll be able to play safety, corner, whatever it may be. Then with their, their other pick, I think it was at 70.
Picked 79. It was 79. Took Jabari Zuniga, the defensive end out of Florida. I do watch a good amount of Florida games during the year. I really like Zuniga. He's pretty raw. He's probably like a pass rushing specialist at this point.
He is. He'll be on the edge.
Which is fine. I mean, I trust him. I trust that skill set with Greg Williams' scheme and, you know, the way he can develop defensive players. I think it's a good pick. He actually put out that he thinks he's the biggest steal of the draft, so I like that confidence right there.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's true because, you know, we don't know enough, but you know, it gets clicks for sure, and you know, it brings you to his highlight reel. And when you watch the highlight reel, you're impressed. That's the point of a highlight reel, obviously. But you know, I think it's going to be a good pick. It's definitely one from where they got it. You know,
it's a pick that was apparently approved by Greg Williams. Greg Williams saw this kid and he wanted to take him. From what I also read, last year the Jets did also take another edge rush outside linebacker and Ja'Kai Polite in the 3rd round out of Florida, who was waived before the start of the season, so he didn't really play. He didn't play one down as New York Jet. So they needed to address that again. I actually, coming out of it last year, I liked Ja'Kai Polite, but clearly that didn't work out, so we needed to get another edge rush. And the other thing, Greg Williams apparently didn't want Polite anyways, so he wanted Zuniga. So if Greg Williams sees something in him, I mean, I think that he's got something. Yeah.
I'm all for it because Greg Williams is the coach of the Jets that I actually trust at this point. So, I mean, whatever he wants, he can get. I mean, Florida is definitely a school where, you know, they're no stranger to producing good pass rushers and good defenders.
And I'm sure he's got his eye on a couple of CBs heading into today's rounds.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance we pick 1 or 2 today in round 4, 5, or 6. We don't have a 7th round pick, which is actually kind of good because it's 7 hours today. I don't know if I have the bandwidth to watch 7 hours of the draft.
No, I'm just going to be following it on my phone and just making sure that, you know, I can follow whoever they pick up.
Yeah. Now I'm going to watch. We're going to be somewhat live tweeting on Twitter at the EOTB on the Twitter vehicle. That's really all I got for the Jets draft. You want to hop on to some fun?
Yeah, let's do some fun, man.
Not that this hasn't been fun. I mean, I'm having fun. So we had a bit of a problem to finding out this topic that we wanted to talk about at the end. You didn't want to do baseball stadiums, I don't fully understand why, but that's fine.
Well, the reason why is because I haven't really been to a lot. I've been to
so you've only been no. So let's dissect this more. So you've only been to good stadiums. That's the problem.
I guess in a sense, yeah. I've been all right. So going to the stadiums that I've been by, Shea Stadium and Old Yankee Stadium. Well, when I think of stadiums, I think of teams. So the team stadiums that I've been to, Mets, Yankees, and Nationals. I haven't been to.
So you didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do it because you didn't want to come on the End of the Bench show and say that Yankee Stadium is your least favorite, is what I'm getting.
The new Yankee Stadium is my least favorite. I like the old Yankee Stadium.
Okay, see, so we got you to say it anyway, and now we'll go to our real topic.
I'm not afraid to say
it. So we were obviously baseball heavy, so today, Pat, we're going to ask each other, in terms of baseball specific, because my answer does kind of change depending on the sport, would you rather be the manager, the GM, or the owner of a baseball team? And we have not talked about this. I kind of hope our answers are different. But what are you going with in that option?
I think ultimately I probably want to be the GM. I just think there's something about being the one who is able to find the guys you need in order to put together a winning franchise. You know, whether you're doing it the Moneyball way, like Billy Beane and others have predominantly done since, or if you're doing it the old-fashioned way of trying to buy some of your players. There's just something about being that guy on that baseball operations staff. You know, you're working with the scouts, you're working with the analytic guys, just trying to do anything you can to put the best 25 or now 26 guys on the field. So I think definitely I'd want to be a GM and just feeling that glory. You'd be the one to say, hey, I helped put that team together. There's just something about that would make me want to be GM more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, you say 26 man, but like you really have to control. I mean, you control everything.
You got to control the 40 man. You got to keep an eye on. You got to keep an eye on your farm to see who's ready to come up. I mean, you don't know. There's some guys who could be doing work in AA, and you think that they might be, you know, ready to come right up or whatever it may be. You have so many different aspects that you're looking at, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to GM, that you're not only taking care of your major league roster, you got to follow AAA, you got to follow AA, you got to even follow rookie ball to see, all right, who's ready to make their move from rookie ball to short season A or whatever it may be. You're the one who's in charge of, you know, seeing what prospects are valuable enough to trade away potentially to get what you need to win now. I mean, I'm not even going to say what Brodie Van Wagenen did with one of our top prospects. So I'm not even going to get into that, but basically, you're going to have to take criticism with a lot of the moves that you're going to make, but I think ultimately knowing that you're doing whatever you can to try and put a winning team on the field now, or, you know, whatever the situation may arise, but, you know, it's a team-by-team basis, of course, but I don't know. I just feel like I would take pride in that, and I definitely want to be a GM more than anything, to be honest.
So you're the GM. Are you running an analytic-centric ship, or what are you doing?
I'm going to run a little bit of mix of both. I know when all the analytics stuff started, I was very against it because I guess I wasn't really informed about how much it really does affect what happens on the field. But as I've gotten older, I've read more books, I've seen more statistics and everything like that, and to realize that analytics is very important when it comes to putting together a team. But sometimes you can't just always rely on what you're seeing on a computer screen. You really do got to get a sense of what this guy looks like in person on the field and everything like that. So I would definitely have a mix of analytic and old-fashioned scouting.
Yeah, and I think, you know, going back to the Mets topic, I feel like that's how A-Rod would be as an owner. Because, I mean, you hear him on broadcast, and I think at least once a game he says, you know, the game has a heartbeat. And it's not just all numbers. So I thought you were going to go the GM route. I know that you weren't going to go managing route because nowadays managers don't do anything.
Exactly.
Honestly, maybe that's the way to go. You just chill there. sit, you answer some questions to the press, and you collect the check. And I don't know. Maybe that's not.
If
that
you know
bad.
if you can talk to the press, almost like if you can just carry yourself enough with the media, and you have the baseball background, it seems like you're fine. I know there are definitely managers out there who actually get free reign of what they do. But there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of the new school managers. A lot of them could seem like a lot of yes men coming in.
Yeah. I mean, just like the Dodgers with Dave Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not. I actually am going to go. I would rather be an owner.
Okay.
Of a team.
Elaborate, please. I'd like to hear.
I mean, so I'm kind of lazy, and I feel like the owner allows me to be a little lazy. I prefer to hire people to do things that I think they're really good at, as opposed to me having to be extremely hands-on in everything. So, I mean, I think it's just because I'm a kind of laissez-faire person. I would rather be an owner than a GM. I would rather have the money of an owner than the money of a GM, for sure. And honestly, it's because I would want to own the Yankees, and I want Brian Cashman to work there until he dies. So I can't be the GM because then I would replace him, and that would be an immense project. There's no chance I would succeed at that. So yeah, I would go owner. I feel like I have a lot more say in like the growth of baseball that way too. And I mean, not even growth, maybe to go as far as to say like the revival of baseball.
Right.
So that's where I would go. But definitely not manager, because you're just someone's fiddle.
Nah.
And I'm not trying to be a fiddle.
Yeah. But if I could also just elaborate, just so anyone's thinking like that, I would be kind of like a Jeff Wilpon GM, where I
we know you would be.
No, I wouldn't be. Because if there's something that I don't know, I do this now. If there's something that I don't know that I'm not sure, I'm going to get expertise advice on. And I'm going to listen to what that person says. Going back to Wilpon, he doesn't do that.
No.
So, I mean, that's just how I would be. Just the fact that I'm GM doesn't mean I'm the one making all the decisions. I want to get a good team together. And I can say basically, this isn't just my team. This is our team. At the end of the day, if we put together a championship team, we're all going to get rings, not just me. So let's work together and try and put the best team we can on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you'd be a great GM, Pat. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be a great owner, to be honest, but
lazy, fair, throw money, do what you got to do. I think that's perfect for you, Scotty.
I can say with certainty that I would be a better owner than I would be a GM and manager. That's something I could definitely say.
I honestly feel like in terms of how it would work for me, I think it would be, I think GM definitely won.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I would be a good manager, but I don't know how it would be with in-game decisions.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I would be pretty good at it, but again, I guess I would never know. So I'd probably go owner 2 and then manager 3.
Does your answer change depending on sport?
I guess.
Because I feel like
it probably would. It probably would, to be honest with you.
Because I feel like the sport you'd probably be the best manager at is baseball, because you know it more.
I would definitely the best head coach / manager would definitely be baseball. In terms of football, maybe GM football operations, just something along those lines. But when it comes to basketball and hockey, I'd rather just be an owner.
Yeah, I'd rather be an owner for almost everything except basketball. I'd want to be a head coach.
There you go.
So I would get hired to get fired, essentially, because that's what you do with coaches. So
pretty much.
I'd be moving my family around every 3 or 5 years. But
I wonder if people realize that the kind of take that happens on families when that stuff happens.
Dude, it's rough. It's rough. I was listening.
I mean, I'm sure like the wives and the kids, or whoever it is, they understand that you may be hired and fired, and within 1 year. But I can only imagine what goes through their minds when, like, you know, dad or mom, whoever comes home and be like, yeah, I got fired, so we got to start looking for another job, and it could be on the other side of the country.
Yeah, it's tough because I was listening to The Ringer. They have a podcast now with Steve Kerr and Pete Carroll. It's called Flying Coach, which is kind of a weird name. But Pete Carroll was saying, like, when he was getting started with his family, like, he was doing a lot of, like, college jobs, you know, not even, like, coaching and stuff. And there was times where, like, his kids, like, they would move, like, every year.
Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
And, like,
that's gotta be really tough on him.
And that's why he was, like, so happy to finally, like, get to USC, stay there for a while. You know, and now Seattle, he's been there for what seems like forever. I don't know how long it actually is, but
it's gotta be at least 8 years, maybe more.
Gotta be. I mean, the only other coach I remember there wasn't Holmgren there.
Yep, Mike Holmgren.
I think that was, like, the last coach I remember there besides Pete Carroll. 2009 was his last year at USC, so it must have been like 2010. He started with the Seahawks.
8-10 years, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I think that's a good place to end it. You know, you mentioned you know, coaches and everyone moving around being tough on kids. Just want to reiterate, because you weren't here when I gave our little introduction. Coronavirus is also very tough on everyone, including kids. You know, and we decided to donate up to 50% of your monthly contributions to the End of the Bench show to a charity called No Kid Hungry. No Kid Hungry is actually something I donate to quite regularly, because on Seamless they come up like you could round up and the change goes to No Kid Hungry. I think it's just a really good charity to start with, Pat, because, you know, it's something that you and I have never had to deal with. Luckily, when we were growing up, we never had to worry about where our next meal was coming from.
Exactly.
But for these kids, especially now, you know, it's a real fear, and I can't even imagine, you know, what they're going through. So, you know, any little bit helps, especially when we're talking about food. You know, I mean, a water bottle doesn't cost much. You know, meals really don't cost that much for these kids, but they just can't, you know, they have no way of getting them. And that's what No Kid Hungry is about. So the support link is in the descriptions. You could donate 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. And like I said, up to 50% of all contributions we receive are going to go straight to No Kid Hungry. You know, and Pat and I have talked that, you know, that may go up. We may go, you know, full 100%. You know, whatever is most effective is what we want to do. And we're very happy, very proud of everyone who has helped us in this endeavor, and very thankful for all the listeners and viewers and support we received. So with that, Pat, you have any last words for the episode? Not like life, but
no. Let's just see. Hopefully the Jets can round out this final day and walk away winners.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing on the agenda today for me as well. It's a beautiful day out, so I hope everyone gets outside.
Face masks.
With face masks, they can listen to this as they go for a walk. That'd be cool. Look at that. Nice little entertainment. We'll be back on Tuesday morning with the draft recap from Kevin McBride. And then Friday we have an episode with a very special guest, someone who's very close to the End of the Bench family. We will tease that for now. Pat, it's been real. Hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun.
Always have fun with you, Scotty. Take care.
Take it easy.